Hello YouTubers, Felix here, and welcome to another weekly rant video. I am today again joined by Baseball Lover.
Hi.
So we have got not that much of topics this week actually. This week has been lackluster in news in the world of cycling, so it's gonna be a short episode guys, but next week you gotta tune in, because then we have the Tour de St. Louis and we have the Tour Down Under, which is gonna be very interesting. But let's get this episode kicked off. First of all, we heard that Visconti fractured his tibia in the People's Choice Classic. What do you think about that? And how long is he out?
Well, he should be out like basically the entire season. There's a chance he comes back in the late fall kind of classics time, but basically he's out. I saw a report that said from this kind of injury, it takes like 6 months just to get back to like regular day-to-day activities at good strength. And, you know, I think it will have a pretty big impact because for Movistar, he's basically their free element. They have their GC guys, and then they have him, who's decent in the mountains, great domestique to have, and he's very good at stage hunting. And as we saw in the Giro last year, he took 2 stages just from like stage hunting, winning from breakaways, those kind of things. Very strong rider, and it's kind of disappointing to see him going out like this.
He's the new Rui Costa in that team, because Rui Costa used to be that guy who just goes out on that Team Movistar and gets a stage or two. Visconti now has to take that responsibility on him, but he's no longer on that team, or he is on the team, but he's no longer useful. He's on the injury reserve list. I mean, what use does he have now? It's just a dead wage, the budget they're paying to him. Such a shame that that big of a talent just goes out the window this year.
And now with Costa and Visconti gone, like, they really have to be all in for Quintana and Valverde's GC chances. Basically. They can't really hold anything back at this point.
But if you looked at the circuit from the People's Choice Classic, it looked like crashes were gonna happen, because it was so high paced, and they had like 4 or 5 turns in there where they were kind of doubtful if they should have had. I mean, I looked at how the race looked like, and both the code and I said to each other, there are gonna be crashes in this one. Let's hope none of the big sprinters get hurt in this one, because it might be dangerous. And it turned out that Visconti fractured his tibia, and he's out for the rest of the season. That is such a shame. But let's move on to the next one, unless you have anything you want to add to that one.
I just wanted to add that it's very disappointing to see someone, you know, having such a big injury. This affects their entire season, and in no offense to the race organizers, but this is a small race, and you just lost your whole season for a race that wasn't even to your strong suit, and that's very disappointing for him.
That's very true. But the next topic we have on the list is Alexander Ballan, a known guy in the world of cycling, got banned for using doping. He got banned for 2 years, which is the standard ban in this world of cycling. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, they seem to have pretty damning evidence against him. They gave him the ban. The only real catch to this story is that he's still training with the team. Even though he's been banned for 2 years, you would have thought, like what happened with Belkin and Luis Leon Sanchez, is they didn't fire him. They didn't even, like, you know, suspend him or anything. Nope, he's still training with the team. He just can't participate in races.
But to be honest, Alexander Ballan, he's not the Alexander Ballan we used to know, where he dominated the classics with the Milan-San Remo in those stages. No longer he's that dominant. I mean, wouldn't you rather just get rid of him now, save the money, and then go for another talent instead?
Exactly. I mean, I believe he had a very big leg injury, much like Visconti's, at the beginning of last year. And I mean, you didn't even see him last year. He's clearly on the decline anyway, even though he did pretty well in 2012 in the classics. And now he's going to be banned for 2 years. I mean, I can't see this as a good investment for BMC right now. They should be really focusing on their younger guys like, you know, Finney, getting some more talents. I mean, that's where they have to head. They spent a lot of money on Ballan, Gilbert, Hushoff, and they didn't really pan out.
Only Husso paid off in the end of that. In the end of last year, Husso won a lot of stages, and he was the only guy who really paid off out of those 3 guys. And I mean, you probably wouldn't lay off Gilbert, that's just suicide. But a guy like Ballan, now that he's banned, it's not that dumb to actually just let him go. Exactly. So, in my opinion, I would let him go, but you don't know if Ballan has some secret intel on the team that they have to keep him on there, so he's got like leverage on the team. You never know. The inside of cycling, only the cycling pro, or the secret pro, whatever he's called, knows about this stuff, but we don't. So, moving on to the next guy. It's also a BMC guy. Philip Gilbert says he's back in the form he had in 2011. That was the year where he like completely dominated everything. I mean, if he's back in that form, he's a force to be reckoned with, and you gotta be careful, because Philip Gilbert, when he is good, he is great. I mean, you cannot beat Philip Gilbert when he's in form.
I don't know. It could just be talk. And I saw someone on Daily bring up an interesting point here. Okay, so Gilbert says that he's in 2011 form, right?
Yeah.
Ballan is training with the team after being suspended. You said he might know something. I'm just trying to put the pieces together here.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it would make sense. It's weird though, because no, Philip Gilbert, if he's back in form though, I would love to see him compete with Sagan. Just to get some competition in there. Like, imagine Gilbert going for the green jersey, maybe. I mean, it's a possibility.
He could do it.
Yeah.
He could do it.
But I doubt it. But a guy like Gilbert, it's good to see him back in shape. Last year was such a pity. He was wearing that World Championship jersey and he did nothing. Like, that jersey is more of a curse than like a reward. That's how it's been the last couple of years. Like, you remember... Yeah?
He also saw the wrath of, guys like Burrito. He was always, even the year before, like, ever since he left Lotto, he's kind of been one of the best guys, but not dominant. And his team didn't really bring him back. Like you saw in Liège-Bastogne-Liège, when that group got away. Eventually Martin won and Burrito was up there. But, like, he had to count on his team there. He just didn't have it for himself.
It's true. I mean, Gilbert is it's a little difficult topic to talk about because you never know what's going on with that kid. It's difficult to know. But let's move on from that one. There's not much to say more about that one than watch out if he's in form. If it's just talk, we'll probably see him in the back of the peloton. Next thing to talk about, the People's Choice Classic, what we talked about early on, where Visconti got his fractured tibia. We had a winner of that stage, and it's the first real indicator of who's going to be the big sprinter king this year. And of course, my favorite sprinter, Marcel Kittel, won that one. What do you think about that, going up against guys like Greipel?
I think it sends a message, a huge message for the Tour Down Under, because everybody was saying, at least I was saying, and a lot of the people I was talking to, that Greipel might have it simply because of the form that he's in, that he usually prepares better for the early season races and that Kittel's just warming up. But Kittel comes out there, wins the People's Choice Classic over Greipel, and that sends a message that he's here from the start. I can't see any time that he could lose now. I mean, he showed how dominant he was, just powering through like that.
The only way Kittel could lose is if Cavendish and Greipel knew how to ride actual hills now, and if they would go fast-paced on the hills like Sagan did to Cavendish that one stage in the Tour de France, and if Cavendish realizes this early in the season and focusing more on surviving the hills and actually being fast in the end, I mean, it'd be worth it, because if you know on flat road you're not even going to win then, if you get lucky, you might win a stage or two, but that's not what you want to do. You want to be consistent. And you might trade some of your acceleration to be able to survive the hills. If you want to beat Kittel, that's the way you got to do it. And Greipel is already transitioning just a tiny bit towards the hilly side. At least that's how we've been seeing in the last couple of years, or the last couple of months. What do you think about that?
I completely agree with you. The one thing that always has held Kittel back is that he is a huge guy. He's got tons of power. And that kind of does hold him back for the hills. There was a joke going around, I think a year or two ago, where like every time they hit a speed bump, Kittel just pops off the back. And I think that if they did start to force that, like I could see, Lotto and Omega going to the front and pushing it really hard, like trying to loosen up Kittel. It's not like there's a real big GC guy that could be helping him out, like on those hills. If they try to transition that, they could very well make him vulnerable that way, and I think that that's what they need to do, because that's the only way they can make him vulnerable.
It's very true. I mean, if you want to beat Kittel, you got to beat him in the hills, in the mountains, in the cobblestone sections, the places where he's not good. If you want to beat him straight up in the finish, you're not going to beat him. Just like we see in the gameplay right now, Kittel and Declan Cup, first and second, no way you're going to beat Kittel. Thank you guys for tuning in for this episode of the Weekly Rant. Please leave a like. Please go watch Baseball Lover's channel. He does some quality stuff on there. He's a very great commentator. Thank you for being on here today, Baseball Lover. And see you guys later. Bye-bye.